Governor, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you, Chris. Good to be back.
Let's start with breaking news on the debate story. After the Clinton camp announced that it was inviting billionaire and Trump critic Mark Cuban to sit in the front row at the debate, Trump invited Jennifer Flowers, who once had an affair with President Clinton, to also sit in the front row, and she has accepted that invitation. Two questions. Why would Trump do that, and will Jennifer Flowers actually be there tomorrow night?
Well, look, Hillary Clinton apparently thinks this is an episode of Shark Tank, but this is America, Chris. It's serious business. The American people have an enormously important choice to make, and Donald Trump's tweet was really mocking the fact that Hillary Clinton was trying to distract attention away from this moment in our national life where the American people are going to see a strong contrast between the broad-shouldered leadership of Donald Trump, who's prepared to rebuild our military, reduce taxes, repeal Obamacare, stand by our Constitution, and make America great
if I may, sir, because we've got limited,
who simply offers a third
time,
Obama term.
I don't want to ask you, will Jennifer Flowers be there?
Jennifer Flowers will not be attending the debate tomorrow night, but Donald Trump was using the tweet yesterday really to mock an effort by Hillary Clinton and her campaign to really distract attention from where the American people are going to be focused tomorrow night, which is on the issues. It's about the choice that we face. I mean, Hillary Clinton essentially wants to continue the policies of this administration that have weakened America's place in the world, stifled America's economy, walked away from our most cherished constitutional principles, and I can't wait to see the debate tomorrow night, because I just know that Donald Trump, who is a leader who literally embodies the American spirit, is going to be able to present that message and present that choice to the American people.
But Governor Pence, I've got to ask you, because there's a Wall Street Journal poll we'll be talking about at greater length later that shows that people's top concern about Donald Trump is, one, his temperament, and two, his language, especially towards women. So why would Trump even go down the road of bringing up Jennifer Flowers, who once had an affair with a president?
Well, the question really should be, why was Hillary Clinton in her campaign, inviting some a celebrity basketball team owner to the debate to sit on the front row, someone who has mocked and ridiculed my running mate?
Do you really see those two as equivalent? Do you really see those two as equivalent, Mark Cuban and Jennifer Flowers?
Well, look, Mark Cuban has been out there saying some pretty tough stuff about my running mate, but Mark Cuban knows about as much about national security as I do about professional basketball. But the truth is that Donald Trump has a unique way of communicating to the American people, and I think his tweet yesterday was all about demonstrating that here we have in Hillary Clinton and her campaign just a couple of days before a debate of enormous importance in the life of our nation. She was trying to distract attention, her campaign trying to play games with front row seats, and Donald Trump's not about that. He's going to focus in this debate tomorrow night, as he has throughout this election, on the issues the American people care about. And I think that's why you see the momentum in this campaign. As I here in Iowa last night, before an enormous crowd here, I was in North Carolina earlier this week, in Williamsburg, Virginia, in the pouring rain with 650
Governor,
people.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to try to get
this campaign, and that's why Donald Trump is on his way to the White House.
I want to try to get to some questions. You say you want to talk issues. Let's talk issues, because one of them clearly in the first debate tomorrow night, in the wake of the shooting in Charlotte this last week, is going to be race and policing. After looking at the videos that were released by Charlotte police last night, does Donald Trump, and do you believe that the police acted reasonably in the shooting of Keith Scott?
Well, I have seen the videos, and I think at this point we need to let the investigation go forward. I was in North Carolina yesterday, and I think we should pray for the families of those who lost their lives in these police action shootings, both in North Carolina and in Oklahoma. We mourn with those who mourn, and we do well to remember that any loss of life is precious. The American people are entitled, the people of Charlotte are entitled to swift and immediate investigation that's transparent, and be confident that justice is served. But people are entitled also to peaceably assemble, but they're not entitled engage in violence against persons or property. I'm pleased to see now for several days in a row those demonstrations have been peaceable. But at the end of the day, we also need to step away from efforts by Hillary Clinton and others to paint law enforcement in this country with the broad brush of racial bias. Hillary Clinton this week, before all the facts were in the wake of an African-American police officer involved in a police action shooting that cost the life of a citizen in Charlotte, referred to the implicit bias in policing. Donald Trump and I don't believe that law enforcement in this country is a force for racism or division. Donald Trump and I know what the American people know, that law enforcement in this country is a force for good. Police officers, whether they be white or African American or Asian or Hispanic or Latino,
right.
Police officers in this country are the best of us. They put their lives on the line for us every day. So we just truly do believe that let these investigations go forward. Let the public be confident that the facts will be presented, justice will be served. But let's set aside these efforts to demean law enforcement in this country with the broad brush of racism and move forward in a way that supports law enforcement.
Governor, here is one of Trump's main solutions that he laid out this week to try to stop violence in our inner cities. Here he is.
I would do stop and frisk. I think you have to. We did it in New York. It worked incredibly well. And you have to be proactive.
But, Governor, in New York, where Trump says it was such a success, 80% of those stops, 4 and 5, were stops of either African Americans or Hispanics. And as a result, a federal judge ruled that the stop and frisk policy was unconstitutional.
Well, I know there was one court decision in that regard, but stop and frisk literally saved lives in New York City when it was implemented. It's been implemented in cities around the country, and it's on a sound constitutional footing. This gives law enforcement officers the opportunity, with probable cause, to be able to stop and question individuals that they think may be involved or about to be involved in criminal activity. And Donald Trump specifically was talking about the crisis of criminality and murder in Chicago. I mean, my parents were both born and raised in Chicago. My grandfather came from Chicago when he immigrated to this country. It is a great and wonderful city, but to see the avalanche of violence in that city, Donald Trump is the kind of leader that's going to say, let's take a policy that worked in New York City, that reduced violent crime in New York City, and stop and frisk and bring it to Chicago, Illinois. And that's just the kind of leadership he's going to continue to provide.
Governor, I want to ask
he is a man that you will find is impatient with failure and impatient.
Governor, I want to ask you about another form of his.
Chicago can be safe, but it's going to take.
If I can, sir, I want to ask you about another form of Donald Trump's leadership. In the wake of the New York bombing, another big topic on Monday night is likely to be how to protect the homeland, and here's what Trump said about that.
It's time to put firm immigration controls in place. Extreme vetting, right? Extreme vetting.
But Ahmad Rahami, the suspected bomber, came to this country as a child in 1995 and is a naturalized U.S. citizen. So how would extreme vetting have prevented Rahami from these bombings that he allegedly committed?
Well, Chris, last week there were several terrorist attacks. There was one in Minnesota, knife-wielding terrorist in this country, legally under the color of the law, injured 9 people. Thankfully, no loss of life. We had Mr. Rahami involved in terrorist bombings in New Jersey and New York City, and we don't know the motivation of the permanent legal resident in Washington State who took 5 American lives last night. But I think what you heard Donald Trump talking about was just simply we need common sense back in our immigration policies in this country. We need to begin to recognize that we are at war with radical Islamic terrorism. Hillary Clinton won't even name radical Islamic terrorism. Donald Trump has a plan to confront it. A part of that includes a full review of our immigration policies, suspending immigration from territories and nations that have been compromised by terrorism. And Hillary Clinton actually wants to increase the refugee flow from Syria by 550%. I think what Donald Trump was talking about in the wake of those terrorist attacks a week ago is that we simply have to take a step back. We have to start doing things differently. We have to start putting the safety and security of the American people first, and that's precisely what Donald Trump will do when he becomes president of the United States.
Governor, I want to ask you about one final question and one final issue. The Washington Post reported this week that the Trump Foundation paid out $250,000, more than $250,000 to settle various lawsuits against Trump and Trump businesses. Now, Governor, as I'm sure you know, there are laws against what's called self-dealing, where a charity spends money for the personal benefit of a person or his businesses.
Well, I think the Trump Foundation has responded to those questions and will continue to answer any issues that arise. I know that the Washington Post reporting on this has been very, very sketchy. They've been found to be factually incorrect on a number of bases.
Well, no, but
you know, I'm sure the Trump family and the foundation welcomes that.
Sir, if I may, let me ask you about one specific case, and that is the case of the flag in Mar-a-Lago. The city of Palm Beach sued Mar-a-Lago because they had a flag that exceeded zoning barriers. There was a settlement under which Mar-a-Lago, the for-profit club run by Donald Trump, was going to pay $100,000 to a charity. Number one, he didn't pay it, the club didn't pay it, the foundation paid it, and secondly, Donald Trump hasn't contributed a dime to his own foundation since 2008. What kind of a charity is that, sir?
Well, I know that the Trump Foundation, the family, can answer all of those questions about that specific instance and others, and they have. I think the American people are even more interested in the Clinton Foundation.
They have not explained, sir. The Washington Post has asked, and they have not explained how it was the foundation that ended up spending money instead of either Trump or Mar-a-Lago. They also haven't explained why he hasn't contributed any money since 2008.
Well, look, these answers are all fair game, Chris, but I just wish there was as much interest in the activities of the Clinton Foundation, that we know accepted tens of millions of dollars from foreign countries and foreign donors who were then given access to Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State. I mean, the truth of the matter is what you see in the Clinton Foundation, and the Trump Foundation is a private charity by a private family that's helped many, many worthy causes over the years. The Clinton Foundation, Hillary Clinton was literally warned during her confirmation hearings, could be used by foreign donors and foreign governments to gain access and gain favor while she was Secretary of State, and yet she went on ahead and did it. And the fact that now emails have come to light that have shown a direct connection between those that were contributing to the Clinton Foundation and access that was given to those people, to the calendar and opportunities to meet with Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, are deeply troubling to the American people.
Governor,
that's the kind of pay-to-play politics the American people are tired of, and Donald Trump is going to bring it to an end when he becomes president.
Governor, I'm going to cut you off because we're going to be talking to a representative of the Clinton campaign next, and I'm sure you would like me to ask him that question. Governor Pence, thank you. I understand you'll be in the audience tomorrow night. Safe travels, sir.
I sure will. Thanks, Chris.